Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson is an ordained Centers for Spiritual Living minister serving the centers. I'm starting over. I'm going to get this right. Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson is an ordained Centers for Spiritual Living minister serving the Center for Spiritual Living Greater Baltimore community as our spiritual director. As a lifelong learner with a passion for self-development, personal transformation, transmutation, and transfiguration, he has frequently been referred to as a Renaissance man and visionary New Thought leader who makes complex metaphysical concepts readily understandable and applicable. His mission is to live, move, and be an active member of society who serves to educate, elucidate, and emancipate people and communities to awaken and empower themselves. ACTIVE is an acronym that stands for authentic, compassionate, transparent, inspired, vibrant, and empowered. And he continues to live his bliss as a teacher, minister, author, workshop and seminar facilitator, visual artist, ASL interpreter, and ASL performing artist, mentor, father, grandfather, and more. I give you Reverend Dr. Ray.
Say what? No, seriously. Like it was the hilarious. It was so funny because she started the bio and then she was like, "I'm gonna start." Oh, it's me. Okay, I got bye. Hey, guten Morgen, hola, buenos dias, namaste, all that good stuff. Welcome to October. Welcome to the chills. Welcome to the leaf changes. Welcome to October. And we're kicking off October related to finances. Money, 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 money. But it's more than just that. It's more than just money, which we're going to talk about momentarily. Today we are specifically talking about swimming in the infinite ocean. Infinite ocean, this infinite source, this thing that has no beginning and has no end. So when we look at the abundant nature of the universe everywhere and always fully present, we recognize and we see this sacredness of wealth, of health, of joy, of love, of possibility. We expand our idea of just how big really is. I just ran across this documentary on Netflix. I think it was Netflix, and I think it was yesterday, where it's called Infinity. And they talk about what exactly infinity is. And it is an amazing documentary watching these theoretical physicists and philosophers and all these like folks discussing this concept of infinity. You know, I didn't see anybody on there, you know, talking about it from, at least not this far, talking about it from a spiritual sense, but that's where we come in. So finance, what is it? So if I threw out that word, because if we're talking about swimming in this infinite ocean, and this month we're talking about finance, then we need to establish some, some groundwork rules kind of thing. So I want you to bring to your mind when you hear that word, when you read that word, what comes to mind? Finance. You if you were there for the spiritual practice, you heard Eugene say, eliminate from your consciousness, eliminate from your lexicon these ideas, these words, these phrases that say, I can't afford, I don't have, etc. Right? It's more empowering to say, well, I choose not to spend $15 on a cup of coffee, even though today's International Coffee Day. I'm not spending $15 on a cup of coffee. That's my choice. Not that I don't have the money for it. I can't afford it. I'm broke. I'm poor. Right? So this idea of finance, sit with it and ask yourself, what do I think about? What comes to mind when I think finance? Same way, when you are thinking about this quote unquote infinite ocean, are you swimming in it or are you drowning in it? Are you treading water, barely staying afloat? Because if this infinite ocean ultimately is a symbol, a metaphor for the infinite, which is God, are you swimming? Are you drowning? Are you barely staying afloat? And if you are swimming, how are you swimming? Are you swimming like any of these creatures who are so adept at swimming this infinite ocean that they're not even focused on the idea of there being not the ocean? Right? Like you've heard that old joke that, you ask a fish, so how's the water down there? And the fish says, water. What's water? Because it's all it knows. So when we recognize this concept of the infinite power and presence, are we so immersed in it that we don't have the ability to even see or conceptualize scarcity, lack, separation, anything other than God, since God is all there is? Breathe. So to what degree, what is your skill level when it comes to swimming in the infinite ocean? How are you engaging the process of swimming? In other words, how are you stewarding the infinite? How are you stewarding the energy that creates money? How are you stewarding the energy that creates health and well-being? How are you stewarding your mental equivalent? Joseph Campbell says, God is a metaphor for that which transcends all levels of intellectual thought. See, God is just a word. We use it. Some people don't like it. I would rather you not use the word God. I don't like it. Why? Because you have baggage or trauma related to some way that you were introduced to that word or what that word was supposed to mean. But that word is not the thing itself, right? Just because I say the word water right now doesn't mean you can drink it. Just because I say the word water doesn't mean if you are thirsty, your thirst will be quenched. Just saying the word God doesn't mean you are aware of the presence of it. Just saying the word finances, just saying the word alignment, just saying the word, all of these things are simply placeholders. They are metaphors for the thing itself. And the thing itself transcends our quote unquote finite ability to conceptualize it. It transcends. It goes beyond. That's why we say a new thought, open at the top, because there is always more and greater and more. So breathe. Because when we talk about this idea of personal finances, well, if I'm open at the top and there's always more and it's an abundant universe, then when I am thinking of my finances, am I thinking of them from various little compartments, and I'm thinking of it in terms of lack and scarcity, what I don't have, what I want more of, but can't get more of because, money doesn't grow on trees, and any number of other phrases that are used to limit the energy of the divine in our lives. When I think personal finances and the planning of them, what does that mean to me? Not just intellectually. Remember, we're transcending just the intellect. What does it mean spiritually? What does it mean energetically? Wayne Dyer says, abundance is not something we acquire. It is something that we tune into. We don't acquire abundance because that would presuppose the idea that I don't have it. But if I'm already the infinite incarnating, then I already have abundance. Question is, am I aware of it? Am I tuned in? Now, when we say tuned in, what does that mean? Am I generating the same frequency of abundance? Remember, we talk about faith as this continuum of energy. And on one end, there's life affirming faith. And at the other end, there's life denying faith. This moves us into inspiration and power. And this is fear and worry. But it's one continuum because it's all referencing what am I grounded and anchored in as a belief. Just like the frequency of a radio. All of these wavelengths are going on at the same time. Same thing. Lack, scarcity, abundance. All of these frequencies are happening because we're thinking. There's a collective consciousness. And our invitation, as Eugene said, our spiritual practice is tune into the frequency of truth. Tune into the frequency of the very presence of God, source, spirit. Tune into that frequency. And we'll find out that, okay, that's that. There it is. And what does that frequency now enable us to recognize, to know, and to live, not just from, but to live as? What does that energy now call us to do? There are a great many books and resources out there around money. And I mean a lot. If you just do a search, type in books regarding money and see, whew, we as a species, dare I say, are obsessed with money. But why? Because there aren't this same number of books about air. Oh, because it's abundant. We're breathing it. Oh, but oh, I got you. People want money. So they need books to teach them how to get it, how to keep it, how to earn it, how to raise it, how to invest it to get more of it, how to, right. And yet the vast majority of them are written from the frequency of lack and scarcity. Many of them still vibrate. I'm not necessarily these on the screen, although some of them do, but the vibration of there isn't enough. So do what you need to do to get your piece of the pie. Breathe. Because our invitation, like for real, our invitation is to move away from that frequency, to get away from that concept and recognize that money, right? This because there is nothing other than God. So this thing called money is actually source. It is spirit. It is the very substance of all that is. It is supply itself. See, we think that our boss, our employer, pays us. You know, they write a check and they deposit in our bank account or they give it to us in our hand. They're not the source of supply because they're not creating the energy that becomes money. The infinite supplies. So, what happens when we recognize that infinite source, that infinite spirit, that infinite substance that is ever generating, creating, and manifesting, and that infinite supply? Infinite meaning has no end. And not just recognize it as in, oh, I see it, I spot it, but I understand that because it's all there is, then I am source incarnating. I am spirit incarnating. I am substance expressing itself. I am supply manifesting as the flesh that is this body, that is me, that is this mind and these emotions. I am that. I am. Does it change our relationship to finances? Does it change the manner in which we live, move, and have our beingness in the infinite ocean? It has to. Ernest Holmes says, God is spirit. Spirit is substance. And substance is supply. This is the keynote to a realization of the more and more and more abundant life, to the demonstration of success in financial matters, in health and well-being, in effective relationships. Yes, some of this is me adding in where he stopped, that period, turned it into a comma, because it's ultimately the demonstration of success in, through, and as our lives. Because see, it doesn't matter if you're successful in financial matters, but nobody likes you, right? Like I've got $1 trillion, but I have no friends who want to go to Disney with me. So I got to go by myself. That's no fun. Oh, I have money and I have friends, but I have mistreated, ill stewarded my body so horrendously that I lack the ability to take 3 steps without, whew, whew, I'm tired. Whew. Wow, guess I shouldn't have ate those 37,000 box of Pop-Tarts last night. Don't laugh, Tracy. There's a lot of Pop-Tarts, right? But so success, it's the infinite expression of it in all areas of our lives, not just finances. But the idea is, do I recognize, do I have this realization, and I'm living from this awareness that I am this abundant life in expression? Eric Butterworth says, when we establish ourselves in the consciousness of God, the whole universe moves to flow into us with its abundance of life and substance. And I've got to remix this. When we establish ourselves in the consciousness of God, because that's all there is, then the whole universe moves and flows in us and through us and as us, because the abundance of this all-powerful, all-presentness, the very essence of all that is, this abundance of life, of substance, of supply, that which is spirit itself, is our lives. It's all that we are. And when we establish ourselves in that, as that, with that, through that, then the whole universe moves to match our frequency. Just like when I turn the dial on the radio, The frequency moves to match my practice. Now, once again, we have spiritual books referencing money and prosperity and abundance. But note that book in the middle. Even mystics have bills to pay. Why did Reverend Jim write that book? Because there is a concept within spiritual circles that says, oh, you're a mystic. You don't need money. You're a monk. You don't need money. You're a priest. You're a preacher. You're a minister. You don't need money. You live beyond money. You live a holier life. You have a vow of chastity and a vow of poverty. You have made what? I have made no such vow. Why would I choose to vow to limit the infinite flow of the universe, however it is showing up in my life and as my life? So once again, our invitation is to recognize that there is no separation within God. Breathe and ask yourself, do I need to change the manner in which I think about money? Robert Kiyosaki says, making more money will not solve your problems if cash flow management is your problem. So for those you don't know, Robert is, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the author of that. Making more money will not solve your problems if cash flow management is your problem. So Reverend Ray's remix, Tracy said, remix, cash flow. Making more money will not solve your problems if cash, creative awareness, and spiritual health, if you are unable to manage that, then more money, nothing is going to solve your problems. Breathe that in. If you have a challenging time, if you are not practicing the creative awareness and spiritual health, if you are not practicing that, then there is no amount of money, no amount of likes on Instagram or Facebook, no amount of friends on social media, no amount of friends coming to visit you at home, no amount of cars, no amount of boyfriends, girlfriends, or others, no amount of any of that will solve your problem because you are out of alignment with God. Tracy said, you got me shouting up here. So really ground into this. The creative awareness, spirit, and spiritual health, practicing the presence. If you are not doing this, then nothing will solve your problems. What do we say in New Thought? There is nothing that needs to be healed. Only truth. Truth. Creative awareness and spiritual health. I am that I am. Truth. If we are not practicing truth, then we will forever continue to be bound by the lies. You're not good enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not valuable enough. You're too fat. You're too thin. You're too tall. You're too short. You're too something or not enough of something. You're too loud. You're too quiet. You're too happy. You're too sad. You're too something. There's always going to be something to judge, to complain about, because we ourselves are not in the frequency of the infinite I am. See, I don't want to just swim in the infinite ocean. I want to have mastered this management of being in the flow and as the flow itself to such a degree that I walk on water. That as Moses struck the stone and water was produced, I want to have mastery over every aspect of the divine that is incarnating in, through, and as me, every aspect of my mental equivalent. That is why practicing the presence, practicing principle is not just a practice that I do, is a way of life. Breathe. Breathe. Thank you, Dana. I do my best with the acronyms. Yes, yes, yes. I am the king of acronyms. Yes. So if I were to ask you, what do these two things have in common? Like, why are they connected on here? Why is there a camel? And so, for those of you who are biblical scholars, come on, Frank, bring it. Come on, you just did the Bible class. What do these have in common? Ha! Matthew says, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. Say what now? It is easy. Say what now? It is easier for a camel, huh? It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. Now breathe, because so many of us spiritual folks have used this passage to denounce and deny our own health and well-being. We have denied our ability to be rich, to be wealthy, to be opulent, to be prosperous in love, joy. Because if we are denying ourselves any aspect of God, pause. Have you ever heard it said, a threat to democracy or a threat to justice anywhere is a threat to it everywhere? Have you ever heard it said, none of us are free until all of us are free? You cannot deny God in this area and then think you're welcoming it here. You can't think that you're embodying God here, but not here. It's an all or nothing sum game. Breathe that in. So rather than continuing to use quotes and scripture and passages to deny our wealth, he who trusts in his riches will fall, but the righteous will thrive like foliage. He who trusts in his riches. Now, metaphysically, we could dive deeper, right? We're not going to do that right now, because he who trusts in his riches, if you're trusting only in money, then yeah, you're going to fall because you're trusting in the money, not the infinite supply and source. But that's a different subject. That's a different conversation. The point is, people have used this. He who trusts in his riches will fall. Once again, to deny riches, to say it is a sin to be wealthy. Huh? Huh? So we have decided as a culture that the 1% get to be rich. And then we talk about them. You know, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. You know, we live by meager means. We are just, eking by, barely making ends meet. And somehow we have made that mean holy, a righteous life, rather than it is holier to live an abundant life. It is holy to live in a manner in which you are plentiful with laughter and plentiful with joy and generous with your happiness, right? That is what it means to truly swim in the infinite ocean of that which is God. So rather than make our affirmation or our mantra, money is the root of all evil, because how many times have we heard that? How many times have we said that? Which comes from Timothy. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. Now remember, faith is a spectrum. We use faith as if it's only this thing and fear is something else and this is something else. It's one continuum. It's like temperature. One end is more heat, one end is less heat, but they're not on two separate things. There isn't the hot and the cold. Light, it's one spectrum. More light, less light, we call darkness, but it's one continuum. So this idea, for the love of money is the root of all evil, pause, because it's not. for the obsession of money, for the greed of money, for the addiction of money. Why? Why would that be? Because your myopic focus is on money as if money is the source, meaning money will solve my problems. It won't. Being in this loving relationship, I'm all booed up. It is cuffing season. That's not going to solve your problems. The only thing that heals us is a recognition of truth. There is nothing that needs to be healed, only truth to be revealed. So what is the truth of your being? What is the truth of money? What is the truth of your life? What is the truth of you? Practice it daily, moment by moment, hour by hour. Practice it. Bring truth to the forefront of your mind and live, move, and have your beingness from that space. Holmes says, it is right that we should be successful, for otherwise, spirit is not expressed. Say what now? It is right that we should be successful. It is right that we should be healthy. It is right that we should be loved. It is right that we should be loving. It is right that we should laugh. It is right that we should be joyful. For the other alternative would be recognizing that spirit is not expressed. The divine cannot lack for anything. And so we also should not lack for anything that makes our lives worthwhile, and bring that to others. For true equity, justice, and a world that works for all means I don't just teach someone to fish. We know that saying, if you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. But if you teach him how to fish, he eats for yes. And yet, if he's hungry, he's not focused on me teaching him how to fish. So if he's hungry, I give him a fish while teaching him how to fish. It's both and. How do I share joy and laughter? It's not mine to hoard. How do I share health and well-being? It's not mine to hoard. How do I share money and finances? How do I share truth? It is not mine to hoard. How do I share the infinite awareness of God? It is not mine to hoard. Breathe. Reverend Ray says, Tracy said, what'd he say? Money is a tool, just like paint is for a painter, just like clay for a potter, food for the chef, and notes for the musician. Money is an expression of source, and we are called to be master stewards who know how to utilize the tools in order to create, manifest masterpieces of beauty and wonder in the world. Hoarding and denying your divine wealth is blasphemy. Tracy said, ouch. Breathe. Because if we're going to be honest and practice, Eugene, we often share, kung fu, anecdotes and whatnot, and talk about training and doing forms and, weapon work and stuff. And we know that there is an element of when you are practicing, when you're doing your horse stance, there is an effective way to do it and an ineffective way to do it. The ineffective way is not going to reap the rewards or the results that we desire, but it's still a practice. Lack and scarcity is a practice. We weren't born doing it. Someone taught us that consciousness. And we took it on and said, oh, wax on, wax off. That's incorrect, Reverend Ray. It's wax on, wax. Oh, wax on. That's incorrect. It's incorrect. but we are always practicing. So the question is, to go back to what Eugene said, what is the result that I desire to experience? What is the result? Start at the end. What is the result? And then work our way backwards, develop the practice, and then do it consistently. Because otherwise, it's blasphemy. To deny yourself self-care, it's blasphemy. To deny yourself radical love and acceptance, blasphemy. If Amber was to say, I'm done, I am never going to sing again. Well, first of all, I'm showing up at Amber's house, knocking on the door. I don't even know where Amber lives, but I will find, how many Ambers can there be in Nashville? I will find. Does Amber live here? No. Does Amber live here? No. Does Amber? I see you hiding, Amber. I see you back there, right? I will find Amber and be like, Amber, what is this? What is this nonsense about you will never? She's like, well, like, no. What do we need to pray? What do we need to anchor in truth? Because there is no way that you can deny creation your beauty and your gift. If Eugene said, I'm done, I don't want to be a practitioner. See, I know where Eugene lives. I will walk through the Gettysburg Address and find Eugene. Like, can I walk through the Gettysburg? You know what I mean? I will find him, right? To deny our gifts and talents. Ashlee, what do you mean you're not interpreting anymore? Renuka, what do you mean you're... Excuse me, you will not on my watch, you will not deny your divine magnificence. Because to do so is blasphemy. Breathe. I can't hear nothing you saying, Tracy. This week's practice. What was... Let us pray for Tracy. What was the idea of God's relationship to wealth that you grew up with, and what is it now? God's relationship to wealth. What was it? Were you raised in a Catholic home where, not necessarily being poor, but, not living in a lavish and abundant, that's too much. That's too gaudy. That's not godly. What was your concept then and what is it now? Where do you see the extravagant nature of the universe? Where do you see it? Where are you able to identify it? And what feelings come up when you hear or when you say words like opulence, prosperity, extravagance, wealth? What do these words bring up for you? And maybe you're thinking, Bill Gates, opulent. That's not me. Elon Musk, that's extravagance. That's not me. I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about the words. I'm talking about the energy of the words. Can you see yourself as opulence in expression? Can you see yourself as the individualized expression of wealth? And once again, I'm not just talking money. I'm talking about all. Ernest Holmes said, whatever is true about God is true about you. Whatever is true about God is true about you. Can you identify that regarding you? And then lastly, have a conversation with 3 people about the practice of shifting consciousness as it relates to money, finances, and wealth. What does that practice, what does it entail? What does it look like? What is the practice? What does it look like? And what does it feel like? Someone can say, oh, I meditate every day, but there are a whole bunch of ways that one can meditate. What does your method of meditation look like? When you journal, what do you journal? Right? Because I could say, well, I journal every morning, but you don't know what that journaling entails. Is there a prompt? What does it entail? See, my first thing in the morning journaling is I journal my dreams. And then I go back and go through the dream to break it down. And what is it revealing? What is it showing me? What is it teaching me? What is it inviting me to express or release? So when I say journaling, you don't know that until I express that. What does your practice entail? Converse about it. And ultimately, How does your practice, what does it do to change what's going on in the world? Because if I am only me, I, it's all about me, then I'm not being a good Samaritan. Because when I see someone laying in the ditch, that's not mine. You should have had a better consciousness. And I go about my business. That's blasphemy. Breathe. This week's declaration, I will say it first. And if you feel in alignment with this, if this frequency resonates with you, then say it with me on our second go round. In an ocean of infinite abundance, I am swimming magnificently. Together. In an ocean of infinite abundance, I am swimming magnificently. Breathe. Now let us anchor and close this thing we call service, but recognizing that the manner in which God is ever acting upon itself, the manner in which we continue to serve all of life. There is only one life, and that life is God. And that life is infinite and amazing and joyous. And that life is my life now. And what is true for me must be true for each and every person watching right now, because there is only that which God is. And so if God is doing that for me, through me, in me, and as me, then it must be also for everywhere else that it shows up. It can only be that. And so we go out and live this. We practice this. Every interaction that we have, every meal that we eat, every meal that we prepare, every sidewalk that we walk on, holy ground, all of the ways that we show up, God being present to itself, as each one of us, individualized expressions of the infinite ocean of creation itself. Tat Tavam Asi, you are it. And the law says yes. Now go live life abundantly, prospering, joyously, that we are the emissaries of a world that works for all. The law says yes. That means it's done. And so it is. And so it is. Much love and appreciation, everybody. See you soon. Have a great day.